All right, what's going on YouTube? This is Boxingwave, and we are back with another video. I want to speak on Charlo and Canelo Alvarez. Okay, it's been a week, almost a week since the fight, and the news broke that they did roughly around 650,000 pay-per-view buys. Okay, so if you do the math, I don't know if you do $85 per pay-per-view, you're getting around 55 million. Whether it's 600K, 700K, whatever. Numbers are in between 600 and 700K. So they did well. And for Canelo numbers, those are good. We know he's done around 500,000 with John Ryder. He's done a million with Triple G in the trilogy. He did around 800K with Caleb Plant. So to do that when there was no beef, there was no, they neither one of them really sold a fight. I mean, everything leading up to this fight itself was talking about Terrence Crawford, and who would fight him after this fight. Outside of that, they really didn't have any issues with each other, and it's not a fight that anyone asked for to begin with. It was a fight that came out of nowhere, and many of us believe that Charlo might have been the next opponent for Canelo, and we were shocked that it wasn't Jamal, was Jamel. I remember my first reaction video, and that video is still up, when I went live, when I found out about this fight. I really didn't know what to say. It was one of my videos that I kind of regret making because I just hit record. I went live, and I was just kind of shocked that it was Jamel. And I wasn't happy about the news, But after I slept on it, I said to myself, not for nothing, but Jamel is probably a better opponent than Jamal right now, because Jamal, in the state that he is, the mental state that he is in, the fact that he has been inactive and all of this other stuff, Jamal is not a good opponent for Canelo neither. And Jamel has been more active. I know he hasn't been active in the past year, but he's been more active, and he's just been better overall. But size is still a factor in this sport, and there are divisions for a reason, weight classes for a reason for things like this. And I don't want to blame this fully on weight, but weight is the major part of why this fight went the way that it did. And I know that these guys did a good amount of pay-per-view buys, but the sport laws, the fans laws, like, it just wasn't a good look. You know what I mean? It's just one of those fights where a lot of us paid for it. A lot of us wanted to see it because out of curiosity on whether or not it's going to be a good fight, and it ended up being a terrible performance. And there's a few things I want to talk about. First, let's get right into it. Can we get rid of a few things? I would really like to get rid of a few things that people, boxing fans, consistently do after every fight. I mean, it annoys the shit out of me every single time. I know it annoys me when I'm on live and people ask this question. All right, and there's three of them. Three things. First, can we please just get rid of this whole dare to be great thing? I hate it. I hate it. It's corny. It's overused. It's misused. Can we just stop saying that, man? Dare to be great. Usually when it's being said, it's said by some fanboy that's just justifying a shit fight or a good fight, but it's a fight that's supposed to happen. I've said this on Twitter. Let's stop over glorifying fights that's supposed to go down when guys that are the two best in their divisions, like Terrence Crawford or Errol Spence, or let's stop saying it when guys are jumping up two divisions to do stuff. Dare to be great. We don't call Crawford and Spence daring to be great. They're doing what the standard of boxing should be. The best fight, the best. Especially in the same division. You guys are the only two champs in the division. At this point, you're not daring to be great. You guys are great fighters already. You guys are world champions. All right? You guys have been unified. You've been undisputed. Whatever. You are a world champion. You are the elite of all of the professionals in your weight class. All right? Fighting for undisputed is just securing the fact that the argument of who's the best. All right. Charlo did that in his division. And for the other side of that, the guys that's jumping up 2, 3 divisions to take on fights, when you're fighting Canelo Alvarez, it doesn't apply. It just don't. Because anybody would fight Canelo. You get what I'm saying? Guys above Canelo, like Dimitri Bivol, would fight him. Junior Makabu would fight him. You know, guys that's not boxers, like MMA fighters, have called them out. You know, YouTubers like Jake Paul called them out. You know, this is when you fight Canelo. Canelo's a face of boxing. You know what I mean? As far as active fighters, he's done he's put up the best pay-per-view numbers consistently. As far as active fighters, if you dismiss Floyd and Manny Pacquiao, he's done the numbers actively. So he is that guy consistently doing the best numbers consistently. With that being said, when you agree to take a fight with Canelo, or when you get that phone call, the risk is worth it. You know what I mean? And in Jermell Charlo's case, it furthers explain, you know, why this fight happened. He is a smaller guy. He had no business being in there, Canelo. And he's not as talented as Canelo. You know, I know size is the biggest factor in this fight, leading up to this fight. But what did they sell? How did they sell this fight? They sell the fight based on what you guys were saying. You guys said Canelo fell off. You guys were saying he fell off. He's been fighting for 15 years. So a lot of people thought about that, and they were picking the guy to pull off an upset because of this narrative that he's slipping. And I'm not sure. That still may be the case, but you don't prove that by fighting a guy that's not in his class. It doesn't matter if he's undisputed. He's undisputed at 154, fighting opposition that's not nearly... I've said this to you guys. I don't know if it was in a breakdown. One of the breakdowns I did. I said this to you guys. Castano, Tony Harrison, those are two of the best fighters that Jermell has faced, and they are the standard for Canelo. They're not even the greatest challenges. This is who they fight on a regular basis. At the bare minimum, they're fighting a guy that is on a level as a Castano or a Tony Harrison. At bare minimum, they're on that level. World champions, right? But not elite guys, not guys that we look at as pound for pound. You know what I mean? Just guys that are top tier in their divisions, you know, from 1 to 5 at the most. Canelo has done that for several divisions, and he's fought pound for pound legendary Hall of Fame type of fighters. You know what I mean? So when you put a guy that's in a smaller division, make him go up 2 divisions to fight Canelo Alvarez, who's one of the best of this generation, it's a mismatch. And an undisputed fighter became a tune-up for Canelo Alvarez. You know, and believe it or not, even though I said all of this in my breakdown, if I didn't love Charlo, if I ain't had love the way I do for him and his brother, I probably would have been a lot more harsh because of who they are. But I toned it down because of who they are. You know what I mean? If I wasn't connected to those guys in any way, and if I never met them, and I probably would have been different about this. But I try to be as, you know, try to be as fair as possible and unbiased as possible, you know? And I was able to still give you guys a breakdown without being biased. But in reality, no, I do not think Charlo was anywhere near Canelo's level. And I didn't like the fight. I liked the opportunity for Charlo because I knew he was going to get his best bag. And I knew he would have the opportunity to become great. But at the same time, it was a mismatch, and we saw it that night. So the whole daring to be great, listen, you're getting paid the biggest money by far. All right. And if you lose this fight, you lose a fight. You went up 2 divisions. It's a win-win for you. The second thing I want to get rid of is a pound for pound thing. This pound for pound thing became something else. This is not. I mean, it's been a while since I felt like it meant the same thing. Because when it was created, it was just it was a tool to say, all right, these guys, these heavyweights are clearly the best fighters in the world. They'll be anybody, but as far as talent, as far as skills, let's make a list to say, all right, well, this guy is smaller, but he's clearly more talented. You know what I mean? That's what it was created for. Who do you think is the most talented? Who's the most skilled, pound for pound? If weight and size wasn't a factor. Now it's become who's my favorite fighter. You know what network that people I seen pound for pound. What network fighters fight on? What race fighters are? How many belts they collected? Who I just think off the eye test, all of this stuff. There's no official pound for pound. Stop asking me who is number one after every fight. It's stupid. It's just, I don't make a lot of pound for pound content. I say pound for pound to say like, okay, I think this is one of the best fighters in the world, but it's just, it's so annoying. Like, where does Charlo place if he beats Canelo? Okay, it would be the best win in all of the sport in recent memory, but I don't think he's better than some of the other people that are up there, regardless of who wins this fight. I don't think he's better than Crawford. I don't think he's better than Inoue if he were to beat Canelo. I think there are guys like Inoue, Usyk, Crawford, you know, and maybe some others that I just think are better talents. But Charlo became undisputed and he did his thing. When I look at Charlo and I look at Shakur Stevenson, who Stevenson has not become undisputed yet, I don't think Charlo is a better talent than Shakur Stevenson. I know he's 25 years old. I don't care. But I'm not going to be parading around here saying based on one win, changing my... I'm not doing that. It's annoying. And I'm tired of the arguments. Because no one's ever going to agree. It's going to be some sort of bias in anybody's list. Okay? There's no perfect list of pound for pound. Because anybody got... It's just an opinion. So every fight... What is Charlo ranked? Before the fight even went down, we're talking about what is Charlo ranked. Now you guys all hate him. You know why? Because you paid $85 for this to see him run. Just a minute ago, some of you were trying to argue with me that Charlo should be number one based off this win, when the guy didn't even show up to fight. And even if he did show up to fight, as soon as he got hit, he didn't show. He was just trying to survive, and that's based on what he said after the fight. He was happy that he went the distance. I compared them to Chris Colbert and Hector Garcia. Hector dropped him, was beating him up, and what did he do? He said, "Well, I wasn't gonna get knocked out." Charlo did the same thing. So he wasn't daring to be great. He shouldn't be. We shouldn't be predicting pound for pound rankings before fights happen. Like, how do we get here? Another thing too, this face of boxing thing is probably the least relevant to me. You know, If Tank wants to go around saying that he's the face of boxing, let him. If his fans want to support what he said, let them. Okay? It's no different from Tyson Fury going around saying different things every other day. If guys want to keep their names out there buzzing to promote themselves and market themselves, let them. I don't understand why people get so mad. They're like big kids. They're like big children, you know? Like, man, Tank said he's the face of boxing. So what? So what if he said that? So what? No, Canelo's the face of boxing. Tank only fought Ryan. He did pay-per-view. So what? Who cares? I'm so tired of this. Like, who's the face of boxing? I don't know. I think Canelo is the most successful boxer. I don't even like saying the face of boxing. The face of boxing, who's ever fighting that week. You know why? Because as soon as your week ends and we're 1 or 2 days away from the next fight, we're talking about the next fight. We're talking about Canelo and Charlo now because the next fight didn't happen yet. Depending on what happens between Zerto and Joe Smith and Lee Wood and Josh Warrington, like, if they're boring fights, yeah, I guess we're going to talk about it, but we'll probably leave it alone. But it's going to be something to take away from what happened with Canelo and Charlo. So talking about who's the face of boxing this, the face of boxing that, yes, Canelo is the most successful. He's the most successful. Okay? Consistent pay-per-view numbers. He's been in there with big names, Cotto, Mayweather, Golovkin, you know? He's been in there with big names, you know. He's had so many different divisions as a champ and, you know, becoming undisputed. He's dope. He's done some great things, man. But yo, let's just cut the whole face of boxing thing. You know? It's corny. And entertaining it is just as bad as saying it. Well, it's not bad saying it. You ever watch like WWE? When every wrestler went in there and screamed out that they're the best in the world, they're unstoppable. Whenever they went and grabbed the mic and said whatever they had to say to sell themselves, no one cared. Right? No one cared. Right? I mean, let's look at it. Who actually is fighting the very best in every fight? No one. No one has ever fought who everybody wanted to face, you know, see them face, or who was always the best person back to back to back. Not saying they didn't want to, but guys had tune-ups all the time in between them tough fights. Some had. I think the problem is most of these fighters fight less and less, and it makes it harder to deal with them fighting tune-ups. But, you know, at the end of the day, man, it's corny, man. Some fighters gotta have to do more in order to get that star power. You know, obviously, like the YouTubers like Jake Paul and those guys, Tyson Fury has the name, so people are familiar with Tyson. I mean, not Tyson Fury. The other Fury, the Fury that's fighting YouTubers, whatever his name is, Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury obviously didn't have to go through the rankings to become the best and become champion to be known. You know, he's a Fury, so people are familiar with him. Okay, Jake Paul, and his brother Logan, KSI, these guys, I still don't even know what they do and how they're famous, but I do know that they're famous and they made a lot of money off fighting. You know, Ryan Garcia didn't always fight the best people, but he did one of the most recent successful pay-per-views. Tank Davis, same thing. junior titles. You know, I think he had a world title before, but a lot of junior titles, a lot of, you know, bouncing around in weights and stuff like that. Selective, you know, not getting involved with the Chenkos and the Haneys and the Lopez's and all of those guys. He's doing his own thing. He fights who he wants to fight. But he's going to make his money. So some of these guys are stars. And some of these guys had to work their way to be stars, like Floyd, Pacquiao, and Canelo. And some guys have, all of these guys had gifts on the way to the top. Some of them had gifts. Some of them had judges that was favorable towards them, even though the majority didn't have it. It's a part of the game. People got gifts, gift wins, gift draws. You know, it happens. It's a part of the game. I heard Teddy Atlas rant about Canelo, you know? And even though I feel like there are certain fights that he didn't win, you know, there are certain judges that I thought gave him a little bit too many rounds. You know, Canelo still did a lot, you know? He did a lot. He did a lot. You know, I have to give him that. And he's actually really good. You know, he is. You know, I don't think he's the best, but I think he's one of the best. And I'm talking about generation wise. Like, I think he can compete with other people. Most of the time, he fought guys that were bigger. You know, there are certain things. Yeah, there are certain fights. You know, Triple G won. I think Lara was debatable. You know, I was harsh on that at that time, but I've seen the fight since then, and I thought it was closer. It's close. Certain judges I didn't like. You know, Triple G won. I thought Austin Trout was closer than what the judges had it, even though I still think Canelo won. I don't like the rehydration clauses. I think there's too many of them. Catch weights, maybe not catch weights, but rehydration clauses. I think some fights were unnecessary, but overall, I think just on the body of work overall, I like it. You know what I mean? But he's not above criticisms, and I think that's the problem with when it comes to Canelo. You have extreme both sides. You got extreme haters and you got extreme fanboys. You know, anything you say from Canelo, like if I say this right now, people are gonna call me, "Come here, you're black, you're racist, you hate Mexican fighters." I get those kind of comments. I can show all the love in the world. One comment, one criticism, they're gonna come in here and call me a hater. Because that's boxing fans. I'm used to it. I don't really, it doesn't bother me. But you got the extremes that make it seem like the guy is just, his whole career is based on just dipping and not fighting anyone good. No, he's fought, no matter who you are, I'm sure he's fought a few people that you thought would give him issues. At least a few. You know, Lara was one of those people that many of us thought he was stuck in. I was one. I can admit that. I can admit Golovkin was too. When he first got the 160, I wanted the Golovkin smoke. And he fought him. He fought him twice, you know. I have to give him credit. He's fought Lara. I got to agree. Lara went on that podium. I got to give him credit because I didn't think Canelo ever. Now, there's other fighters in there, but there's fighters that every fighter that I love that I wish they fought that they didn't fight. You know, Floyd is one of my favorites all time. One of my personal favorites, man. It's one of my favorites to watch. I love Floyd. He's one of my top 5 favorite all time. There's a good list of people I didn't want him to fight. Or I didn't want him to fight and then I wanted him to fight. But Floyd, again, when you're at the top, you start to make calls. And sometimes you have to take a fight and win it in order to get that right to have, that privilege. You know? So with Canelo and Charlo, you know, I don't know what he's going to do. You know, I'm assuming he's going to go back down and weight. I don't know how low. I don't know if he's going to try to keep these belts and defend them. I don't know what he's going to do. You know, but he got paid, man. And he's happy. He's clearly happy with what came out of this. Um, the fight should have never went down, but being that it did, what I will say about Canelo and just the sport of boxing, let's not do no more of these multi-divisional jumps. You know, you beat a guy, you prove that you are the best in your division. Go up, try to do it again. But going 2, 3 weight divisions up, let's be done with that. You know why? Because if the bigger guy wins, it's because he's bigger. You're not gonna get any credit from it anyway. So in the case of Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, I don't want to see it. Yeah, if Crawford were to win, it would be amazing. But just like Jamel Charlo, and I said about him, Jamel got hit with a body shot in those early rounds, the first and second rounds. And I said, post fight, I said, he realized at that moment that he's never been hit that hard. And he did not want to engage for the remainder of the fight. You know, and I also said that in a breakdown leading up to the fight. What is he going to do when he catches a hook to the body? He's been durable all his career. Who has gone to his body? And you're going to test that out against one of the hardest punchers out there at 168? Who cares if y'all fought together at 154? He's been fighting guys at 168 and bigger. It doesn't matter what you walk around at. You're not used to fighting those guys. Castano and Harrison are not even punchers. What are you doing up there? What dangerous puncher have you fought? Yeah, you're undisputed, but the biggest puncher that you could have fought, you didn't fight, and that's Tim Tszyu. Tim Tszyu is arguably the biggest puncher you would have faced in your whole career. Arguably. And you didn't even fight him yet. And he's not Canelo Alvarez. So I understand, listen, make your money. Anybody that got that phone call would have taken the fight. But this fight proves there are weight classes for a reason. Crawford said it himself. That was his first reaction to people talking about him fighting Canelo. Now he's changed his mind because you got Shakur and Keyshawn and all these guys saying, yo, take the fight, you could beat him. Yes, I do think Crawford is more talented than Canelo. Yes, I do. I've been thinking that for years. But there are weight classes for a reason. I think Canelo is more talented than Anthony Joshua. Do I think Canelo beats him? Absolutely not. I don't think that. Because he's a heavyweight and you're super middleweight. And you're barely that. You're a smaller super middleweight. And I applaud you for beating a lot of guys that are naturally bigger than you. I give him credit for that. But there are weight classes for a reason. You know? Now, Canelo, as far as him moving forward, and I'm going to close this out. We know that Canelo, and this is to the extreme lovers, the fanboys of Canelo. We know that Canelo fights the best people. Resume-wise, consistency, he's that guy, right? As far as active fighters. Andre and Benavidez, yes, I know they've been stripped. I know that they fought some bums along the way. You know, I know all of this, all right? I know that they've ducked smoke with other fighters. I get it. But right now, being that Canelo is undisputed and he is campaigning at that division, it doesn't matter what you think about Andrade. It doesn't matter what you think about Benavidez. The winner of that fight have earned their spot for a shot. We know they just want payday. So did Jamel, and look what that got us. A lot of you didn't have no problem with him fighting Jamel because Jamel was undisputed. Don't have a problem with him fighting Benavidez or Andrade or whoever wins that fight. Because as far as I'm concerned, this next fight should be the biggest win of the winner of that fight. So whether it's Benavidez, because especially Benavidez. He's already beaten Plant, right? Dominated him. All right? He didn't stop him, but he dominated him. Busted him up really bad. So you beat Plant, you stop Darrell at some point. You got some decent bodies. He should get the fight. Now Andrade, I think him beating Benavidez, a guy that people are saying Canelo is running from, that's what they're saying, should earn him a shot. He's earned it more than anybody else right now at 168. Fight him. It's a payday, but you know what? Jamel was a payday. Abney Yildirim was a payday. All right. Who else? Who else he fought that no one cared about? John Ryder. John Ryder's a good fighter. I'm not trying to diss him. He's good. It was a payday. Who's not going to turn that down? Did John Ryder even beat Danny Jacobs? Did he really? I don't think so. Rocky Fielding. What was that about? I mean, you fought some people that no one cared for. So it's nothing. Listen, take your tune-ups in between. But being that you're generating tens and millions of dollars per fight, I think we are owed a good quality opponent. We are owed that. So all this narrative that's like being pushed by Canelo fans, the narrative is making it like he's done this, so he's due to take other fights that's in between because it's still better than the other fight. No, like it shouldn't work that way. Being that you are one of the best fighters in the world and you are the face of the sport, like many of you claim, you should be fighting the top tier fighters. Yeah. You shouldn't be fighting Jamel. You guys are calling him a cub now, but you're saying that he's allowed to fight whoever he wants. No. Let's just stop changing the goalposts. No. He needs to be fighting Benavidez or Andre next. Right? And I know Canelo could do whatever he wants to do, but he's going to always get the criticism. You know why? Because no one's above it. And if you're getting 50 plus million, if you're generating 50 plus million a fight, I think we're owed that. I think we are the most, I think us boxing fans, if you're doing everything legit and you're not using streams, we pay the most towards sports than any other sport fan. We do. With the amount of pay-per-views we get and the amount of subscriptions, Showtime, DAZN, Top Rank. Come on. We are owed the best fights. We are owed that. Because we're going to have to pay anyway. So if you're going to charge us like DAZN is, charging us, $25 a month and charging us pay-per-views on top of that, if you're Showtime, you're going to be charging us $9.99 on Paramount and then charges us $85 pay-per-views on top of that. If you're ESPN Top Rank, $10 a month, whatever it is, and then charging us pay-per-views on top of that throughout the entire year, give us some of the best fights. So Canelo should do it. And if Tank ain't doing it, don't support. If Ryan ain't doing it, don't support. Don't buy it. I have a channel I have to upload content for you guys because you guys care about my opinion. This is why you listen to me. But as a fan, I would not pay for these pay-per-views, most of these pay-per-views as a fan, unless they're quality fights. And this was not a quality fight. This is a payday for Canelo and Charlo. They win. Us boxing fans, we didn't win. We didn't win. All right? Fight better guys so we can get better fights. That's my way of solving this issue. Find better opponents that are your size so we won't have to go through this. Give us some proper fights. Jamel had no business being there. It's good for him, and I'm happy for him, but it's not good for the sport. It's not. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that, man. I think I've made all my points. Again, please subscribe to the channel. You know, smash the like button if you like it. If you don't like it, hit the thumbs down. I don't care. Leave your comments. Diss me. Do whatever you got to do. You know, but if you want the sport to be better, you have to address all of the issues. We can't just keep attacking certain groups, certain networks, certain fighters, certain promoters. Let's stop moving the goalposts whenever it's a fighter that we're going to have bias for. Or whatever fighter that gives us an interview. For you guys that somewhat do media out there. Stop giving props to people that is willing to give you something in return. If you want the sport to be at its best, you got to be consistent with everybody. This is why I choose not to have ties with any of these people. So I can be consistent with what I say. All right. All right, I'm out of here. Y'all have a good night. Peace.